Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our annual ZO Sports Talk NFL predictions. Big episode here today. Casey Hornbeek alongside Oliver Marbrick and our guest joining us from Philadelphia, Justin Marks.
How's it going, guys? Nice for you guys to have me on. We're going to the best time of the year, football season. I'm excited to talk about it.
Yes, sir.
Back. So we just spent about 2 hours doing predictions. I mean, man, we did it all. We literally did it all. 2 hours of just grind. We're ready. We got it all. We got every single playoffs matchup set, Super Bowl winner, awards, you name it. And let's get into it.
Let's do it.
Here we go. Aaron Donald, Aaron Rodgers, and Mahomes, the faces of the NFL this year. Let's get right into it. AFC West. So I'll start here. And fourth, obviously this is a very tough division led by 4 really good QBs of 4 really solid teams. I mean, many could make a case that all 4 of these teams actually get into the playoffs. But I got the Broncos finishing last. I just think Russell Wilson's supporting cast isn't as good as these other 3 teams. I had the Chiefs really falling off this year. They lost Tyreek Hill in the offseason. I don't think they're going to be able to keep it up every single year in Mahomes' career. I still like them making the playoffs, but I have them falling off. The Raiders are the opposite of the Chiefs. They really got good this offseason. I like the Raiders to be successful this year, but I think the Chargers are going to be really solid, have the best record in the AFC, and we've seen QBs in their 3rd year thrive. We saw it with Mahomes. We saw it with Josh Allen. I like Justin Herbert's 3rd year to be a big year for the LA Chargers.
Yeah. I like you said, this division is just completely loaded. I definitely see a situation in which all these teams make the playoffs, but with all of them playing each other twice a year, I think they're going to beat up on each other a little too much. And I think the punching bag out of those 4 will be the Broncos. So I have them finishing last. And the Chiefs, I'm finishing first. I mean, a team coached by Andy Reid calling the offense, I can't see performing badly. Still have the best quarterback in the league, best tight end in the league. And the receivers aren't too bad. You had Juju Smith-Schuster. And Cole Hardman has shown promise as a deep threat, can kind of fulfill that Tyreek Hill role in a way. And the defense did get worse, I will admit that, but I still think they'll be able to survive in a lot of offensive shootouts. Chargers have a lot of hype around them. Justin Herbert's great quarterback, good weapons around him, improved defense. I like them. And the Raiders added Devontae Adams, makes a pretty good receiving core with him, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller, added Chandler Jones. And yeah, but if they could draft, man, this team would be a lot better. But just cut out Leatherwood too, so tough to be a Raiders fan.
Yeah, totally agree. I mean, I have all these teams finishing 10-7 or better, but ultimately what I think it comes down to is just overall firepower. And I just don't think the Broncos have enough of it on the offensive end. Losing Noah Fant. Javonte, yeah, but reports say him and Gordon are still probably going to split, depending on 3rd downs and goal line touches. And I think the Chargers clearly had the most firepower of any team in this division. Adding Khalil Mack and J.C. Jackson, Herbert coming into his 3rd year, just so many weapons on offense. So then you got the Chiefs and Raiders at 2 and 3. And ultimately, I just think it comes down to Mahomes is just a better quarterback than Derek Carr, plain and simple. So I have them getting the 2 seed, but I have every team making the playoffs except for the Broncos.
Yeah, I like that. It's a stacked division, probably the best division of football right now, I'd say.
For sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Moving on to the AFC South, which is not the best division of football, but it's getting better. We got the Titans in 4, which is a big surprise to a lot of people. I mean, they've been pretty solid in the last year, but I do like them dropping off. I think there's a little bit of drama within that team in the offseason. Obviously them drafting a QB, Ryan Tannehill's job is a little uncertain. The receiving core, obviously a little bit worse. I know they have a rookie receiver from Arkansas, Treylon Burks, but still, I don't like the Titans team to be very good. I like the Texans to improve. I think Davis Mills is that guy. And really solid receiver in Brandon Cooks. I think they're going to be solid. And then the Colts. The Colts are going to be a good team this year. But once again, I see them just being on the edge. Every year it feels like they're just barely making the playoffs or just barely not making the playoffs. They got a new QB in Matt Ryan. We'll see what happens. Last but not least, I like the Jacksonville Jaguars improving. And I like Trevor Lawrence having a really solid year. We were talking about this before. I think Trevor Lawrence could win MVP easily next year, maybe even this year if he balls out. But I think Trevor Lawrence is that guy. They brought in a lot of guys in the offseason. They did overpay Christian Kirk, but I like the Jags to win the AFC South and make the playoffs.
Yeah, that is a bold take right there. And yeah, so I got the Texans last. Just probably one of the worst bottom three rosters in the NFL. Just not much talent there. I do like Dameon Pierce, and I'm excited to see how he steps up in the RB1 role as a rookie. Brandon Cooks, underrated receiver. Davis Mills, underrated quarterback, Stanford product. And yeah, but they lost Justin Reed. And yeah, the defense isn't too good, offense isn't too good. Nothing really too good about the Texans there. Jags third. I think they will improve a little bit from last year, where the last 2 years when they've won one game each. And yeah, more weapons for Trevor Lawrence. And yeah, I think they'll be a bit better with all this. They spent a lot of money off season, so I think they should be better. Titans, I've at 2. Obviously lost AJ Brown and Julio Jones. Julio Jones wasn't great last year anyway. And Robert Woods is there. He's off an ACL though, might be a little shaky, but he's still a good receiver. And Treylon Burks, I thought he was a little overrated in the draft process, but we'll see how good he is. And then Colts, yeah, I like Matt Ryan. I think he's an improvement over Carson Wentz pretty easily. Jonathan Taylor, you have the best back in the running back, or best back in the NFL, in my opinion. And Michael Pittman's a good receiver. Got a decent defense there. So yeah, I like the Colts to win this division.
Good shout.
Yeah, I just feel like the talent in this division is just so subpar compared to any other division in the NFL. So my standings pretty much just come down to how much trust I have in each of these quarterbacks. Matt Ryan, I know he can make the playoffs. He did in 2016 when they lost to the Patriots, won MVP, and just everyone's saying it, but Michael Pittman breakout year is just bound to happen. And for the Titans, Tannehill and Derrick Henry obviously know he's a beast. And Tannehill is just average enough to carry him to a 500 record, maybe 8-9. The Jaguars, I love what they did the offseason. Christian Kirk wasn't overpay, but I think he's really talented. Couldn't really break out behind D-Hop.
Facts, yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just the Texans. It's just like they just don't have anyone good. They're kind of just hoping for people like Davis Mills, Dameon Pierce, and Nico Collins to break out. But ultimately, I just don't think they have enough to win more than 5 or 6 games.
Yeah. They really do not have much star power, to be frank. I like their hire in Lovie Smith, the big vet. He's not going to get you to playoffs, but I mean, he'll win you a few games. But yeah, I actually they should have kept their coach. Oliver, what were you saying?
I said he's a good beard.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's move on. And that was a great shout, by the way, about Robert Woods.
Yeah.
All right. That's on me. Whoops. AFC North. I got the Steelers in last place. This is also a pretty solid division right now in the NFL. The Steelers are full of uncertainty this offseason. I mean, they're in a 3-man race right now to see who the starting QB is. Mitchell Trubisky, Mason Rudolph, and Kenny Pickett. I mean, really not sure who's going to end up getting the nod. Either way, I don't think they're going to be able to do very well in this division. They lost Juju Smith-Schuster, so they got Deontay as their one. But yeah, and then the Browns also full of uncertainty. They did not trade for Jimmy G. It looks like Jacoby Brissett's going to be their starter, right, for the first 10 games until this can play. And I don't think they're going to be very good because of that. Obviously, a really solid run game, a good coach there, but we'll see what happens. To the Bengals, obviously coming off a really solid run to the Super Bowl. I think they'll fall off a little bit as I have the Ravens winning the division. I think the Baltimore Ravens are finally going to be solid as long as Lamar Jackson can stay healthy. Similar to like Michael Pittman, I think it's expected on him to have a really solid year. Just got to stay healthy. I think they will be good. The Ravens are looking good on both sides of the ball. They got elite defenders, DBs, and Marlon Humphrey, Patrick Queen, but we'll see what will happen there with the Ravens. But I like the hype with the Ravens right now. It looks like all three of us do.
Yeah. I agree. Browns last. It's just the quarterback situation. Steelers also kind of mid. I feel like they're just going to finish like 8-1 or something. They got a tie.
Like they're going to get a tie, low-key.
Yeah, the Steelers always tie. And yeah, Mitch Trubisky is their quarterback, not too promising. But I do like their receiving core a lot better than the Browns, who have, I believe, Donovan Peoples-Jones as their one. Amari Cooper. But Jonathan Peoples-Jones is their 2. But Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, not too bad. Bengals 2, defending AFC champs. Brought back everyone. Got La'el Collins for the offensive line. Brought back Trey Hendrickson. Joe Burrow, beast. But Ravens, yeah, number one. Lamar's back. Tyler Huntley is a good backup. And yeah, I'm excited to see how J.K. Dobbins plays off an ACL. I think it was maybe Achilles. I don't know. And Rashad Bateman, I'm excited for his breakout. I am a little bit worried about the weapons, but Mark Andrews has always been Lamar's number one target, so I'm not too worried. They added Marcus Williams from the Saints, drafted Kyle Hamilton. So the secondary is good. Obviously, had Marlon Humphrey already. A little bit, the front seven, I think, lacks a little bit, but other than that, it's a good team.
Yeah, totally agree with the Ravens. We were talking about before. The Ravens were a top 2 seed in the AFC before Lamar went down last year, and all other pieces got hurt last year. And Oliver was speaking like the supporting cast around Lamar on the offensive side of the ball is a little lacking a little bit. But I think Isaiah Likely, the backup tight end, is going to be huge. They can run some 2 tight end sets, him and Mark Andrews, and then
shout out Coastal Carolina, man.
Yeah. The Bengals, I think they're going to have a little bit of a down year. I still have them making the playoffs. But I just think the Ravens are so good. I have the Bengals going 11-6, so it's not really a down year. Joe Burrow, I love Joe Burrow. Jamar Chase, gonna have a stud-like year. The weapons around Burrow are just insane, and they added to the offensive line so much. Lyle Collins. And then the Steelers, I have a little bit of a sleeper team this year. I think I have them going 8-1, as Oliver said. If we think back, Trubisky in Chicago, he had a great defense around them and weapons, and he was able to have a 600 winning percentage, make the playoffs like 2 of 3 years. And that's pretty much what he has here in Pittsburgh. I'd say a top 5 defense, lead in sacks every single year. And then he's got Deontay, Najee, Claypool, Pickens, and then Freiermuth I love. The offensive line is just a little shaky, so that's why I don't have them both in Bengals. And then the Browns, I think they're going to suck this year. I think they'll start like 3-8 without Deshaun. And then by then, it's just like they're just going to pack the bags and just hope for a good draft pick.
Yeah, for real.
And it's been like 2 years since Deshaun actually played in a live football game.
Yeah, we don't
not even be that
we
good.
don't even know if he'll be a top 10 QB anymore. I think he will be, but there's a very good chance that he isn't.
Yeah. AFC East, last AFC division here. I got the Fins in last. Everyone's hyping up the Dolphins. I don't see it. I really don't think that this Miami Dolphins team is them. They have a solid defensive front. They always have. But I'm not a believer in Tua. And I know they brought in Tyreek Hill. Mike Gesicki's a solid player. Their running back's Myles Gaskin. But I'm not a believer in this Dolphins team. And I think these other 3 teams are going to be solid. The Patriots, Oliver can tell you about it. I think they're a little bit under the radar this year. Everyone's assuming they're going to suck. A lot of people even have them 3rd or last. But I think this Patriots team won't make the playoffs, but they're going to win some ball games. Mac Jones, solid QB, along with an underrated receiving core and an underrated defense. I like this Patriots team. I just think it's going to be interesting to see how their offense works without Josh McDaniels, because I felt like that offense was a little bit stagnant in the last 2 years without Brady. Oliver could attest. Number 2, the Jets. I think the Jets are going to have a big year, and they're finally going to break out. You know, I was worried Zach Wilson tore his ACL in that preseason game, but luckily he is all right, and this team is poised. Their offense is really solid, and Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore is going to have a breakout year, fellas, along with CJ Uzama. Remember the name, former Bengal. This team went to Idaho in the offseason. They got themselves prepared, and they're ready to fight. This Jets team is underrated. Also, Breece Hall, they drafted him, solid player. Also, look out for Ashton Davis on the defensive side of the ball. Number 1, the Bills. I think the Bills are one of the best teams in the AFC, to be frank with y'all. They're really solid. They're ready. They got a chip on their shoulder. They got a sour taste in their mouth after that AFC divisional versus the Chiefs, and they're ready to fight. I think the Bills are going to be really solid. Enough said about them. We all know they're good.
Yeah, I have the Jets in 4th. They're still the Jets. I think they're still a few years away. They're a pretty young team. And they're the Patriots' little brother, and they'll always just be beat up by these AFC East teams. I think they win about 6 games, though. I think 6-11 is fair for the Jets. A little better than last year. Pats, I have a 3. Unbiased opinion here. I think they go like 8-9, 9-8. I think they're a bit better than people give them credit for right now, but I just don't. With this stacked AFC, I just don't see them making the playoffs. But surround Mac Jones. Mac Jones has pretty good weapons, which people say he doesn't, but I think he does. Good running back core with Damon Harris and Ramondre Stevenson. Losing J.C. Jackson does stink for this defense and the secondary. Jalen Mills is our cornerback 1. along with guys. But I'm excited for these rookie corners, the Jones boys, Marcus Jones and Jack Jones, Matthew Judon off the edge, and still got Devin McCourty and the breakout last year, Kyle Duggar out of Lenore-Ryan University, Bill Belichick gem. And yes, but I still have him third because I just think the talent is not going to compete. And the personnel, like coaching wise, Bill Belichick's just being too stubborn with who he has calling plays and all that. He has Matt Patricia calling the plays, I think. Dolphins too, they improved. I don't care who's throwing the ball. If you have Tyreek Hill out there, just got to be able to get it to him, which I think Tua can. Very accurate guy. And I think he's better than people say he is. I don't think he's that bad. Yeah, I like Chase Edmonds out the backfield. They did cut Sony Michel. Still have Myles Gaskin. Yeah, they're pretty decent. And the Bills, I think, are the best team in the AFC, hands down. I don't really need to explain this that much, but we know how good the Bills are. They're air raid, passing attack, led by Josh Allen, who can also run with it too. So, yeah, I like James Cook as a potential offensive player of the year, offensive rookie of the year too.
Casey, I got a question for you.
I'm ready. I got an answer for you.
Where on the football field are the Jets better than the Dolphins?
They're better than the Dolphins at the QB room. So secondary, I think that the Jets have.
I disagree again. Javon Holland, stud safety. All right, so I got the Jets. I just don't think. I mean, they'll be all right. Like Oliver said, probably 6 wins, maybe 5. I have them going 1-5 in the division. I just think they're just not good enough. They're too young. They'll probably break out next season or the year after.
Hold on 1 second. We have our Jets insider. Give me 30 seconds on why this Jets team is better than the Dolphins.
Braxton Berrios, Garrett Wilson, Elijah Moore, Joe Flacco, Zach Wilson, Sauce Gardner. Young talent, raw coach. I mean, they've got heart. The Dolphins are kind of mid. Their coach is a stoner. Like, come on now, quit playing.
There we go. Forgot about Sauce too.
So Sauce is better than Xavier Howard now, huh?
Yeah, for real.
Okay.
He will be though.
And Byron Jones and Javon Holland. The Dolphins secondary is so underrated. All right, so Patriots. Sorry, Oliver, but you guys are just the definition of mid. I mean, your QB's mid. Your whole offense is just mid. The defense was good last year, but J.C. Jackson is a loss. Obviously, Gilmore's been gone. The Dolphins are just a tad better than you. There's a very good chance you guys finish above them. I just think
Belichick finds a way, to be fair.
What?
Belichick does sometimes just find a way.
Yeah, it's just like they just have a little more star power than you. I just think that's the reason they might end a game above you, but coaching could be a reason you guys finish above them. And then the Bills, this is self-explanatory. They might be the most talented team in the NFL. Top 5 QB, top 5 receiver, in my opinion, maybe top 7. Top 5 defense, top 5 coach. It's just plain and simple. Yeah.
NFC West time. Now on to the NFC. Thank you for sticking with us, boys. By the way, just a heads up. Right now, it is 1:27 in Justin Mark's hometown. That's
on a school night.
On a school night. That's respect to CO Sports Talk. All right, to the NFC West. At 4th, I got the Seahawks. Obviously, we all know they lost Russell Wilson. However, I do think, boys, that this team is a little bit better than the experts are giving them credit to be. Noah Fant is actually a really solid pickup, and in my opinion, the top 6 tight end, maybe even 5 in the league right now. Noah Fant's underrated. Drew Lock's not awful, even though he may not even be the starter right now. I think Geno Smith is actually getting the nod. But either way, they're going to get last because they're in a solid division. Cardinals at 3. Obviously, Kyler Murray had a lot of drama this offseason, but he is a solid quarterback until the new Call of Duty gets released. And this Cardinals team should be solid, but I like the Rams just to edge them out as they were really good last year. And I think this is Stafford's last year. They had that 2-year window. The gamble obviously paid off. They won. Solid defense, but I just like them getting edged out by their fathers, the San Francisco 49ers, who are looking really solid. They just signed back Jimmy G in case trade doesn't work out. They basically have their whole team from last year and an improved secondary, which was one of their biggest issues. So I like this Niners team to win the NFC West, but the Rams still make the playoffs for sure.
Fair enough. Okay. Yeah. Seahawks, just not much talent there. Rolling out Geno Smith. I really think Drew Lock, is the move, because in the best case scenario, you unlock his potential and he becomes a stud. young quarterback, and that's probably not the case. But if it's not, then you get the number one pick or close to that. I think Geno Smith bringing a vet out there probably is the move, especially for his development. Cardinals at 3, pretty good football team, just not as good as the Niners and Rams. To me, yeah, Kyler coming back, added Marquise Brown, lost Chandler Jones on that defense, but yeah, they're kind of mid, but I think they're still good enough to make the playoffs. Niners, we'll see how Trey Lance plays. I think this season's kind of contingent on that, but a lot of guys who are, the best in their position, I think, or close to the best. You have Kyle Juszczyk, best fullback in the league. Kittle, top 2 tight end, in my opinion. Fred Warner, best linebacker. Trent Williams, best tackle. Like, you just have a lot of talent on that team. They just need to play as one. I think a quarterback was kind of holding them back. Deebo Samuel, obviously. Brandon Ayuk, I think, is poised for a breakout year. Even Jaquan Jennings is a pretty good wide receiver 3. So I like this Niners team. Yeah, I think they finished 2, but I think the Rams are just too good, man. Lost Von Miller, but it doesn't even matter. I mean, added Sebastian. Oh no, they lost Sebastian Joseph Day too. But they still have Aaron Donald.
Got Bobby Wagner.
Ramsey, still have Cooper Kupp. Like, the team's good.
Yeah. What's up, Casey?
No, I love it. And give me 30 seconds to tell me why the 49ers are going to win the NFC West. Another Niners insider here in our NFL predictions.
Oh, yeah. 49ers, they're going to win the NFC West. No problem. Obviously the Rams are good and everything, but Niners defense looks better than ever. The secondary actually looks good for once this year. And people have been hyping up the defense. The only reason why they wouldn't win the NFC West is because Trey Lance might not perform as well as you think, but he has all the weapons and all the tools to succeed in the league. So I think that being said, the Niners will win the NFC West just because of the position they're in and the roster that they have.
Love it. Thank you, NFL insider, Niners insider, Johnny Mackers. All right. Continue, Justin.
All right. So what they said about the Seahawks, I agree. They should just be starting Drew Lock from week 1. Pete Carroll said it was a tough decision because they have 2 QB1s on the roster. And I think he meant to say they have 2 QB2s because both of them are just not that good. The thing is with Lock, it's like you just ride with him, like Oliver said, and if he's good, he's good. And then if not, you can use him and the picks you got from Russell Wilson and maybe trade up and get a Bryce Young or CJ Stroud or maybe Caleb Williams. You never know. And then the Cardinals, actually speaking on the Seahawks, their weapons on offense are actually very underrated. Like Casey said, Noah Fant, DK, Tyler Lockett. Obviously, Carson's gone, but Petty and then Kenneth Walker, if he's healthy.
Yeah, I like that. Low-key offensive rookie of the year sleeper because the offensive rookies are kind of low this year.
And Penny's a little injury prone, so if he goes down, Walker could be a stud. Cardinals, they're good. They're going to be a good team. It's just they're not good. They're just not talented enough to compete with the top 2 teams in the division. Kyler, I think I'm not the biggest fan of Kyler. I like him. I think he's a top 12 QB. He's just not up there with the big guns. D-Hop being suspended is a big thing for them. I have them starting off a little slow and just not being able to catch up with the Rams and the 49ers. I do love Zach Ertz, Rondell Moore. AJ Green's still there. James Conner is going to have a very good season with Chase Edmonds not there anymore. But I just don't think they're talented enough, especially on defense. The 49ers. The 49ers are one of the most talented teams outside of QB in the league. They're pretty much the Eagles, just a little worse in my opinion. No bias here. I'm not the biggest fan of Trey Lance, which is why I have them finishing behind the Rams. If I thought Trey Lance was going to be a top 17 QB in the league this year, I'd have them at first, but I just don't trust them in his first year. Well, first year starting. And then the Rams are just Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, Jalen Ramsey. You just can't really compete. And then they brought in Allen Robinson to come in for Robert Woods, who's gone. Cam Akers, you have back healthy. I just think they're too talented. Probably a top 3 coach in the league. So I have them finishing 1 game ahead of the 49ers.
Yeah, I like that. And it's funny for the Niners, man. Jimmy G, it's like the boy that cried wolf.
Yeah.
We keep saying bye to him like it's his last game, and he somehow just keeps coming back, staying a Niner. But I like it because I think Jimmy G's a really good backup QB, and he knows his role perfectly. and he's a good dude. So he knows exactly, like, doesn't think he should start. So Jimmy's going to be a good backup, and I think he'll end up starting a few games this year, whether it's injury or poor performance.
And I'm here with Seahawks insider Momin Maroff. Momin, hit your case to why the Seahawks will not finish last in the NFC West this year.
All right, this is the reason why. Rashad Penny out of San Diego State was always a dog. Always backing up Chris Carson, never found his role. Chris Carson retired, got Kenneth Walker backing him up. It's his team now. We have Geno Smith as quarterback, but the best option. Drew Lock's backup. We're taking him for Bryce. We want Bryce.
Thank you for Bryce, bro.
And you're gonna get last time.
So as a Seahawks fan, you're fine with finishing last in the division, right? With all the talent ahead of you.
Yeah. I don't mind at all. We're just developing our rookies. We have Cody Bryant.
Oh yeah, Kobe Bryant.
He's some dog, like 6'2", one of the fastest DBs in the draft. I don't mind at all. Like Christian Cross, like our offensive line is really, really nice this year. I really think that, our worst case scenario, we're still going to beat the Niners twice a year. So
Ooh.
I just know that.
That's facts. You guys own them.
Nah.
But other than that, I just hope people like D. Estridge or whatever his name is, they pop out this year, or Travis Homer, DJ Dallas. I just hope Jordan Brooks.
And you got Rutgers legend Bo Melton.
Yeah, exactly. I just hope Jordan Brooks can, fill the role for Bobby.
I think he will. He's looking good. Yep. All right. Thank you, Moen, for being our guest.
NFC North. I got the Bears in last. Big Justin Fields fans. A lot of people are. A lot of people aren't. I'm not sure about Justin Fields and the system. They got a new coach. I just think it may take a few years to get that going. I still think Fields is the guy, though, in Chicago. At 3, we got the Vikings. Kirk Cousins, so inconsistent. He's the definition of mid. It's just like he'll throw for 400, then he throws for 40. Throws for 300, then throws for 40. On the bright lights doesn't work. It's just the Vikings, I don't think are going to be that guy. But that guy this year will be the Lions. Jared Goff is going to have an MVP caliber season. The Lions are going to play well. We saw what they could do on Hard Knocks. Jamal Williams, Malcolm Rodriguez, a middle linebacker. This team is him. This Lions team, Amon-Ra St. Brown, really solid receiver. They really stacked up this offseason, and they got a really solid coach in Dan Campbell. I think this Lions team is legit, but the Packers will finish first. I know they lost Devontae Adams. Aaron Rodgers is the best quarterback in the NFL right now. They have Alan Lazard. He's going to have a breakout year, drafting for fantasy. This team is a really solid team at the end of the day, and their defense got a lot better last year. They really did. Zadarius Smith, Preston Smith's on the D-line, and then obviously their DB core, Jaire Alexander, is one of the best corners in the NFL right now.
Yeah, I agree with, first and last, second and third switched. Bears, probably the worst team in the NFL for me. No one's blocking for Justin Fields. Simple as that. The worst weapons in the league, in my opinion. Darnell Moody's decent, though. Honestly, I think Packers might rival them for that. Lions will improve. Aiden Hutchinson is on the team now. That's big.
Yeah.
Got a stud rookie. I like the backfield with Jamal Williams and DeAndre Swift. Amon-Ra St. Brown is a stud, but outside of that, receiving core isn't great. Good tight end, TJ Hawkinson.
Dude, they're stacked.
I really wish Jeff Okudah could develop, but he's looking like a bust so far. But Amani Oruwariye is a good corner out there. It's not a bad team, Jamal. I don't think they're gonna be that bad. I think they won 2 games last year. I think they'll win like 4 or 5 this year. So I think it'll be a step up, and I think they'll keep improving. I really love Dan Campbell. Maybe not as a coach, but I love the guy as a human. Vikings, I think, are really underrated this year. Dalvin and Alexander Madison in the backfield. Kirk Cousins, yeah, he's kind of mid, but he gets the job done. I think he's a pretty underrated quarterback. And then you have Thielen, Jefferson, KJ Osborne as your receivers. Offensive line's actually pretty good now. Christian Darrisaw was good last year. And defense, you have Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr left. Harrison Smith still balling, but probably needs some more secondary help. And then Packers, receiving core is really bad. It's Lazard, Watson, and Romeo Dobbs, if I had to guess. And I think Robert Tunyon's still their starting tight end with maybe Mercedes Lewis. Defense is actually pretty good though. Lost to Zadarius Smith though, which kind of sucks. Other than that, it's not too bad though. So I think they'll still be pretty good as long as they have Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, the Bears are gonna absolutely suck. I mean, probably the worst team in the league. Justin Fields, I'm a fan, but just the offensive line is so bad. David Montgomery's mid. Darnell Mooney, pretty bad wide receiver 1. But Cole Kmet, I think, is really underrated. I think after this year, people are going to be calling him a top 10 tight end. But the defense, just not enough star power on the entire team. And then, like Casey said, I think the Lions are a little bit of a breakout. DJ Chark, if Jameson Williams comes back, hopefully halfway through the year, and Amon-Ra is going to be a nice wide receiving core. But the only reason I don't have them in front of the Vikings is just Jared Goff. I just think he playing out sucks.
He's been to a Super Bowl, buddy. I was trying to vote.
So
Blake Bortles is 2 plays away from making the Super Bowl. I don't want to hear it.
All right. I mean,
Bulls made a Super Bowl, buddy.
Hey, and who won it against your team?
Oh, yeah, my bad.
All right. So the defense, Amani, I love him from Penn State, my boy. He actually was underrated last year. He had like 9 picks or like 6 or 7 picks, something like that. I was rivaling Diggs for a little bit. Hutchinson, as we'll see later, I picked him as defensive rookie of the year. I think he's going to be an absolute stud off the edge. It's just the difference between Goff and Cousins, which is just like making me sketchy of them a little bit. I'm finishing him like 8 and 9. Goff having some bad games where they could be finishing like 10 and 7. The Vikings, Justin Jefferson is so good, and of course I wish he was on my team, but
Jalen Reagor
Reagor's better, so it's all good.
I mean, he's on
White
too, so it doesn't even matter.
What team did Jalen Reagor get traded to again?
The Vikings.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. That's funny.
And we traded Arcega-Whiteside to the Seahawks. We're just trading them to the teams we passed on. All right, so Kirk Cousins is between like 12 or 15 in the league for QBs. Dalvin Cook's a stud. Madison, top 5 backup in the league. Jefferson and Thielen, top 5 duo in the league. Irv Smith, he's all right. O-line's okay. The defense is okay. This division's just so bad that the Vikings will slide in at 2. I think I have them slipping into the playoffs, but and then the Packers are just so much more talented than any other team in the division. You got Rodgers, Jones, Dillon. Lazar, I think, is really underrated. 1,000-yard season coming up. Tunyon will come back after being hurt. But the defense is just so star-studded. Adrian Amos, Jair Alexander, Eric Stokes, Devondre Campbell, Preston and Zadarius. So yeah. I just think they're going to be a top 5 defense in the league, in my opinion.
Rashad Douglas.
Offense will be average just because they lost so many weapons. MVS was a big loss for them.
Yeah,
facts. The Chiefs. He's going to thrive with Mahomes, calling it now.
Yeah, he's underrated, bro.
Yeah, defense is going to carry them to the I think I have them as the top 3 seed in the NFC. So, yeah.
Vikings do have really solid talent, but the question for them is, can they win? NFC East, boys. Hey, by the way, we on hour four right now. We like that. This is great. All right. We got Giants in 4th for me. This is a really tough division. Not that it's a really good division, but they're all just kind of mid. So the New York Giants, I mean, obviously it was a really good draft. Kayvon Thibodeau, it was a really solid pick. Their O-line's young, getting better, and the questions really remains with Daniel Jones. What's the deal with him? You know, they got a lot of unproven guys, guys that people don't really understand. You know, Kenny Galladay's a Giant right now. Kadarius Toney. So I got him going 4th, but I could see them getting 2nd, really. It's very hard for me to predict. The Commanders are 3rd. Terry McLaurin's very solid. Carson Wentz is an interesting QB. I got them going 3rd. It's just 3rd. I don't know. Just seems 3rd. 2nd are the Cowboys. Very proven team with a lot of guys that we know, but they also have a lot of questions that remain. I mean, last year it ended in a loss to the Niners. And last but not least, the Eagles, who I want to talk about is I think they're actually going to be really solid this year. If you look at their schedule, Justin put me on this in July. It's really easy. Very easy start to the season. I mean, they could easily be like 9-2, 10-1 to start the season off. And this Birds team may end up being, a really top seed in the NFC. So look out for them. Jalen Hurts is a little unproven, but we'll see.
Yeah, Giants really suck. I think they'll be probably like 2nd or 3rd worst team in the league. Just not much on either side of the ball. That's all I have to say. Commanders decent. I think like taking up a little bit of step up at quarterback with Carson Wentz over Taylor Heineke. They should start Sam Howell though. And yeah, Terry McLaurin's good. Curtis Samuel's pretty good. Defense is underrated. Like amazing front seven. Probably the best D line in football in my opinion. And yeah, and then Cowboys. They're the Cowboys. I mean, they'll go like 10-7, I think, but like they'll be all right. Losing Amari Cooper is big, but Michael Gallup's coming back. He's still CeeDee Lamb. Added Cedric Wilson, I think it was. And then Eagles. Yeah, I think Eagles, like Justin said, they're like the Niners. I think it just depends how Jalen Hurts plays. But other than that, they have like one of the best rosters in the NFL. And they can kind of return to 2018 form, I think. A lot of expectations. Schedule is amazingly easy. So I think they can take advantage of that. Kind of reminds me of like the Steelers a few years ago when they started off like 11-0.
Yeah.
But I think this team is more talented than the Steelers team. So I think, I think this team could be really good.
That's a good shout.
Yeah, so the Giants, they're just not going to be good, as Oliver said. They just have so many question marks on their team, and they're so young. The receiving core, Kenny Galladay looks like he should be playing high school football right now. He's not even trying. Saquon I love, but you'll never know if he stays healthy. But I'm excited for Kadarius Toney and Wan'Dale Robinson.
Thanks.
The O-line is just bad as it always is. Hopefully Evan Neal can help that out. Actually, hopefully not, because I hate the Giants. The defense, just not a lot of pieces. I love Xavier McKinney, though. Losing Peppers was tough. They just cut Blake Martinez, their leading tackler for like the past 5 seasons. I don't know why they did that. So I just think they're going to suck. Commanders, my version of the Patriots in the NFC, just completely mid.
Bro, please
Carson
don't compare
Wentz.
to the Commanders ever again. Thanks.
I mean, the Patriots are probably better than the Commanders. Mac Jones is better. But Wentz, I used to love him. Now I hate him. But he's all right. He was actually – people said he sucked last year, but I actually say he was pretty decent. Besides that one game against the Jaguars. Antonio Gibson.
Yeah, that's facts, actually. He wasn't awful.
Yeah. Antonio Gibson has been horrible in preseason, but he's going to get another chance because, unfortunately, what happened to Brian Robinson, we won't talk about that. But Terry McLaurin, I love. Jahan Dotson, so underrated out of Penn State, my boy.
Yeah.
Logan Thomas, mid. But like Oliver said, the D-line is absolutely stacked. Jonathan Allen, Montez Sweat, Chase Young, of course, stud. The secondary,
Holcomb, underrated linebacker too.
Facts, and then the secondary is all right. Ron Rivera will coach him to a 7-10 probably record. The Cowboys, I hate the Cowboys, but they'll be a playoff team. They are every year. Dak's just too good to, let them down. CD, dark horse for offensive player of the year. He's gonna get like 150 targets in that offense. Tony Pollard, underrated. The O-line is the question. They just signed Jason Peters, which I hated, but he's all right. Micah Parsons, my defensive player of the year, absolute stud, can do everything. They lost Randy Gregory, which is tough.
Yeah.
Trayvon Diggs, he's a stud, obviously. People hate on him too much. And then my Eagles, honestly, like non-bias, if you take away QBs, I think we're the most talented team in the NFL. We don't have a single hole in our team except for QB, if you want to count that. But we had the best offseason out of any single team in the NFL. A.J. Brown, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean, Cam Jurgens, Kaiser White, most underrated signing in the league. Gardner Johnson, Hassan Reddick, who's a stud, 27 sacks over the past 2 years. I just think we don't have any holes on our team. As Casey and Oliver said, our schedule is so easy. I have us starting 5-1, finishing, I think, 11-6, because it gets a little tough at the end. Nick Sirianni, my coach of the year. I love him. Brought us to a playoffs last year after a shaky roster, but I just think we're too talented compared to the other teams in our division.
That's no cap. The NFC South. All right. We're going fast here, boys. The Falcons, very unproven team. It's a battle right now between Marcus Mariota and Desmond Ridder. Oliver, who's your guy?
I think let the young boys play. Desmond Ridder.
I don't know, man. Mariota's not bad, though. But, yeah, I like that. But, yeah, they're going to be last. Drake London, Offensive Rookie of the Year, no cap. 3.
He's gonna be bust. I'll tell you right now.
Okay, buddy. I got the Panthers. Baker Mayfield. It's been a long night, boys. Baker Mayfield is going to start there, and he's going to be solid. They're going to beat the Browns week 1. And I think this Panthers team isn't awful. They still have Robbie Anderson. People are forgetting about him a little bit. I know they have their little beef. But, yeah, and their defense isn't awful. But, yeah, they're not going to make the playoffs. The Buccaneers at 2. I think regular season Tom Brady is going to struggle a little bit more than he did last year. However, when the playoffs comes, we already know what happens to Tom Brady. They're still going to sneak in, but it's going to be a little bit like that team that actually won the Super Bowl in 2020. They weren't very good in the regular season. Drew Brees and the Saints actually won that division, which I have having this year, as I think Jameis Winston has a really solid – actually, he may be my comeback player of the year, as I think this Saints team plays really well, and ultimately the Saints get the one in the NFC South and win it. I think that Michael Thomas also plays better than the experts are saying.
Fair enough. Yeah, Saints kind of do on the Buccaneers too. Falcons don't really have an answer at quarterback. Kyle Pitts is a beast, but outside and Drake London could be good. I just don't feel like these big jump ball receivers pan out that much. Who rely on physicality because college DBs are just so much different than NFL DBs. So we'll see. Defense kind of sucks too. They lost that one linebacker. I don't even know how to pronounce his name, but he like Foye something, like led the league in tackles. Panthers, I like their defense. They're pretty young with guys like Jeremy Chin and Brian Burns and JC Horn, who I think is gonna be a beast this year. But yeah, quarterback Baker Mayfield, we'll see how he is. I think the team is like a 6-win team though. Saints, underrated. Famous James is a beast. I think he will be actually. Michael Thomas is back. Alvin Kamara, we'll see if he gets suspended or not. And the defense is underrated as well. And then Bucks, Tom Brady. I think they'll lose one. I think they'll split with the Saints, but I think they'll still be good. Bucks just are loaded with talent.
Okay.
Yeah, so Falcons, they suck at every position besides tight end. And I just want to bring up that Cordero Patterson made the NFL top 100 over Lane Johnson. I just want everyone to think about that. Not a top 20 running back, over a top 5 offensive tackle made it, but whatever. Oh, so the Falcons just suck.
Respect the human joystick, please.
All right. The Falcons, yeah, they're horrible. They have pretty much no talent on either side of the ball. The Panthers, DJ Moore is a dark horse for offensive rookie of the year. Has over 1,000 yards in like every season with Sam Darnold.
Rookie of the year. You mean player of the year?
Player of the year. My bad.
I got you.
Baker's just serviceable, so I think if DJ Moore gets open, Baker can hit him. McCaffrey, I love comeback player of the year. Like Oliver said, JC Horn, also a comeback player of the year candidate.
I like
he was
that.
a dub last year until he got hurt.
Jeremy Chin, solid.
Jeremy Chin, they're a young team. It's just like
Baker's not awful. He was hurt last year.
They just don't have any veterans, so I feel like it's either like a 7-win team or like a 3-win team, like Casey said. AK, hopefully he plays for the whole season, doesn't get suspended. Hopefully Michael Thomas, Jarvis Landry stay healthy. Chris Olave is going to be an absolute stud. And the defense is just rock solid every year, top 10. And then the Bucs, just so much firepower, and it's Tom Brady, so they're going to come in first.
Go, boys. First things first. MVP. It's Herbert or Justin, boys. I mean, this guy, what's comical? Is there something funny?
Jared Goff.
Oh, we'll get to that.
Yeah.
Okay. First things first, MVP, Justin Herbert. Third-year players have absolutely thrived. I believe Lamar won a second year, but we saw Mahomes thrive. We saw Lamar thrive. These young players are going to thrive. He's not going to win the Super Bowl quite yet, but he's going to win the MVP. Just fall short. We'll get to that. But they're going to be the ones that Justin Herbert's going to have himself a year down in L.A. Offensive player of the year is going to be Jamar Chase, another second-year wide receiver that's going to absolutely eat. I mean, this guy's balled out, frankly, and I think that Jamar Chase is going to have himself a year. It was between him and Elijah Mitchell for me, and ultimately Jamar Chase just snuck it out over him. Defensive player of the year is going to be Micah Parsons. It looks we all agreed on this one. The guy had himself an insanely amazing rookie year, and he's going to do it again in Dallas. Comeback player of the year is Jared Goff. He had a little bit of an injury last year. I just think he's going to improve a ton this year, and since he got an injury, he can get it. But I'm actually going to switch to Alex Smith Award to go to Alex Smith Award was actually made by us, by the way. Change at NFL and credit us. but it should go Jameis Winston. I think it actually will. Had a bad injury this year, and I think he's going to win his division. So I actually like Jameis Winston to win that. Jared Goff has a shot too, though. Coach of the year, Brandon Staley. I think once again the Chargers are going to be the best team in the regular season. Offensive rookie of the year is Drake London or Kenneth Walker, one of those two. If Kenneth Walker wins it, I said it right now, take of the century. There's not that many good offensive rookies in the league right now, and no QB that's really solid. So I think that this year is kind of up for grabs. Defensive, I like Sauce. Aiden Hutchinson or Kayvon. There's a ton of good defensive ones. And we got the first pick of the draft that people seem to forget about as well.
Yeah, Trayvon Walker is just kind of like you kind of feel people forget about him. Josh Allen, I think, wins MVP, so I differ with you guys on that. Offensive player of the year, Jonathan Taylor. I believe he was runner-up last year to Cooper Kupp. I don't think Cooper Kupp has the same type of season, and I think Jonathan Taylor does. Depoy, seems like we're all in agreement with Micah Parsons. Christian McCaffrey, I've come back for a year. If he can stay healthy, dude, he's a beast. And I think he finally does this year. But I mean, obviously that's impossible to predict. Coach of the year next Sirianni, correct me if I'm wrong, Justin, but I believe you guys went 9-8 last year.
Correct, yeah.
So I think that no one has a starting job. And then Sauce Gardner, he didn't even get targeted in preseason, dude. He's just logging these down. I think he's a beast. So yeah, I've Sauce as a rookie.
All right, Herbert, I agree with Casey. I think he's going to throw for 5,000 yards, 50 touchdowns. Brandon Staley is just going to let him just throw the ball all day long. Justin Jefferson, they got a new coach this year, Rams former offensive coordinator who let Cooper Kupp absolutely just dominate last year. And Jefferson talked about that. So I just think he's going to get 140 targets, 1,500 yards, 10 touchdowns. He's just going to dominate. Like they said, Micah Parsons just does everything on the field you can ask. He can cover tight ends. He can rush the QB. He can drop back. He's just an elite playmaker on the defensive side of the ball. Comeback player of the year, Christian McCaffrey. In my opinion, he's the best running back in the league when he's healthy. He can literally do anything. I prefer RBs that can do everything and not go off the field on third down, but we won't talk about that. Coach of the year, Nick Sirianni, my coach, but no bias. I just think we're going to be, with the talent we added, we're just going to be a much better team this year. We'll actually be a contender, unlike last year. We didn't beat any winning teams. It was kind of fraudulent playoff run, but yeah. And then offensive rookie of the year, Chris Olave. I think he's going to absolutely thrive. We got Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry kind of doing the intermediate and short routes, and then Olave's the deep ball catcher. So Jameis Winston, like Casey said, is going to be kind of a stud this year. He's going to hit Olave deep on a lot of those balls, and he's just going to have a nice season. And like they said, there's just not that many candidates this year. I was thinking of picking Pickett, but I just don't know when he's going to play, so I didn't do that. And then Hutchinson, I thought about Sauce, but then I was like, for awards, they just give it to people with the most stats, and Sauce probably won't have that many picks just because he's so good in coverage, and Hutchinson's going to rack up the sacks, so I think they'll give it to him slightly.
That's true. That's a good shout right there. All right. Here we go, boys. We got our playoff seedings. Let's get into the playoffs here. It's 2 a.m. All right. The Chiefs are my 7. So obviously we have our division winners. We already know about that. You can see all 4 of ours. It's low-key the same combination, except I have the Chargers. And then the Jags. But my 3 wildcard teams are the Raiders from the AFC West, and the Chiefs from the AFC West getting the 7th spot. I don't think it'll be as good as here, and the Bengals from the NFC North. So just getting snubbed would be the Broncos and the Colts.
Yeah, 7th seed, I have Raiders, one of 3 AFC West teams I have. Bengals at 6, Chargers at 5. We just missed it last year. Colts at 4 because they won the division. I have to put them there. Although I think, they are the worst team in the playoffs for me. Ravens at 3, and AFC North winners, then Chiefs, and then Bills.
Yeah, I think me and Oliver have all the same teams in the playoffs. It's just different order. Ravens, I think, are regular season merchants, same as they were in, I think, 2019 when they lost to the Titans in the divisional round. The Bills we talked about, so talented. Same with Chargers. The Colts, I feel like they're in the worst division in their conference. So if they make it, they're going to be the 4 seed, and then they're going to lose to whoever's the 5 seed. I think they lose to the Chiefs, but we'll talk about that later. The Chiefs are just – Mahomes is going to take them to the playoffs. It's just as simple as that. The Raiders, I think, are a little bit of a sleeper. I think the addition of Chandler Jones has been underrated. Him and Crosby off the edge is just going to be insane.
That is a menacing duo.
That's like, unless you have two top 15 tackles, you're going to get pressure on the QB every time. And the Bengals, a little bit of a down year, but the AFC is so stacked, so 7 seed isn't that bad for the conference.
Yeah, we have AFC South as our 4 seed for everyone.
Yeah.
All right, into the NFC, I have the division winners in the Packers, Eagles, Niners, and Saints, easily followed by the Buccaneers, as I think they're going to be a really solid wildcard team. The Rams, who are in the same boat, and my sleeper 7 is the Detroit Lions. So the Cardinals are just getting snubbed for me, along with the Cowboys.
Yeah. Okay. So I have Cardinals at 7. Another division has 3 in them. For me, it's the NFC West. Vikings, I think, an underrated team. 6 seed. Niners 5. Packers. I think all these division winners are really good. I think Packers are the worst of them though this year. Rams, Eagles, and then Bucks.
Yeah, division winners, Bucks simple, Packers simple, Eagles. Yeah, we talked about the Rams. The Cowboys, I think, are a little underrated. Just Dak, I think, is a little underrated overall. People say like Derek Carr's or Ky. I think he's better than Kyler too. And just the star power they have, Diggs, Lamb, and Parsons, I think, can carry them in the 5 seed. 6 seed 49ers, I talked about before. Trey Lance is I just don't know about him yet. So I have him going like 10-7, making the 6 seed. Then the Vikings barely sneaking in over the Saints. It just comes down to I trust Kirk Cousins a little bit more than Jameis Winston. So I have them sneaking in. I think they have the same record, but it's just how the tiebreakers worked. Got you.
All right, into the rounds, boys. It's getting good here. First round predictions. I got the Chargers on a bye, so easy win for them. Let my boy Herbert get some rest. All good. Jags, Raiders, a little 10 a.m. on Fox to open wildcard weekend out. Game of the year, to be honest. Jags hosting their first playoff game since that 2017 Tyrod Taylor, Blake Bortles Mud Bowl, and I like the Jags to lose. First playoff game in a while for them. Raiders are going to ultimately win it in Jacksonville because the Raiders are actually going to have a better record. The Jags just host it because similar as Justin when your Birds hosted the Seahawks when they had a way worse record and like Josh McCown played for you guys.
Yeah, because Jadeveon Clowney shoved Carson Wentz's head into the ground.
Yeah, that year that everyone on the Eagles was hurt.
Yeah.
And the Bills Chiefs, another match of that amazing rivalry that we've seen the last few years. And I like the Bills finally getting the better of them since it will be in Buffalo this year. And then the Ravens Bengals. The Ravens and Bengals, another little good rivalry we've seen. I like the Bengals falling short and the Ravens finally making some noise in the playoff. In Baltimore, on the NFC side, we got the Packers on a little bye for like the 3rd straight year in a row. The Saints falling to the Buccaneers, which we saw in that 2020 COVID year. The Saints ended up beating them out, and then the Buccaneers beat them in Drew Brees' final game. I like that happening again. I like the Lions upsetting the Eagles in Philadelphia after the Eagles have an amazing season. I think Jared Goff, TJ Hawkinson, DeAndre Swift go into Philadelphia and beat them, surprise them. Great defense they got there. And Aiden Hutchinson, I mean, this team's underrated. The Lions are going to go into the Eagles and beat them. And then the Niners take care of the Rams at home at Levi Stadium.
All right. Bills of bye. Chiefs, I think, beat the Raiders in an AFC West showdown. I have this pretty chalk because I think that's pretty much how NFL playoffs work for the most part. Ravens, I've beaten the Bengals and an AFC North showdown. And then Chargers, I have beating the Colts in an
that game would be a movie.
Upset. What?
Chargers Colts would just be a movie.
It would be good blue.
I want to see Herbert in the playoffs, man.
Yeah, for real. I just want to see him sling in the playoffs. And yeah, I think they lower seeded Chargers beat the Colts. Bucks have a bye. Eagles, I think, beat the Cardinals pretty easily at home. I think Cardinals, they're the 7th seed for a reason. They're not that. They'd be definitely the worst playoff team. I think I would say the NFC is more top heavy, but I think the AFC is deeper.
Agreed.
And then Rams beat the Vikings pretty handily, and I think Packers beat the Niners at Lambeau, even though the Niners might have a better record than the Packers.
Yeah. We'll see if they can do it this year.
Bro.
All right. Ravens getting the bye, underrated 1 seed. Bills defeating the Bengals. I just trust Josh Allen in the playoffs. He might be the best playoff QB besides Brady in the league right now. And they're just more talented on defense overall. Chargers defeating Raiders in an AFC West showdown like we saw last year in Week 18. Just an absolute bloodbath of a game. the Raiders came out on top, but ultimately I think Herbert takes that extra step this year and just they win by 2 scores. Chiefs defeating the Colts, Oliver said, and it's not really an upset, but it is. Just Mahomes is just so much better than Matt Ryan, so I have him going into
Matt Ryan's too sackable.
Yeah, And
Where were you for the Jake Luton game?
All right, Bucks 1 seed. This is my big upset of the playoffs. I have the Vikings beating the Packers. Rodgers is just fraudulent in the playoffs. Justin Jefferson's going for 202. Burning Jair.
The 2.
I got my Eagles defeating Casey's Niners. This ultimately, if they played in the playoffs, it would just come down to which QB plays better because both teams' supporting cast is elite. So I don't know if Trey Lance can handle Lincoln Financial Field. And then my 4-5 game, Rams Cowboys.
Shivers timbered.
Rams Cowboys. Just too much firepower on the Rams ultimately, and Cowboys playing away. I just think the Rams get it done in a very close game, 1-score game.
Love it, boys. Let's get into the division and championship rounds, boys. In the AFC, we got the Chargers defeating the Raiders in the AFC Battle of the Titans. I mean, we saw this match in Week 17, almost ended in an ironic tie last year. Was an amazing game to end out the season. The Chargers ended up losing to the Raiders, but this time I like the Chargers beating them in LA. I like the Bills beating the Ravens in a 2020 COVID year matchup. This time the Bills win once again, actually. And then in the AFC Championship, Chargers, Bills, what a match this would be. In LA, I like the Bills going down there in a little January of 2023 and Justin Herbert falling, sadly, to Josh Allen. And we've seen this time after time with Josh Allen losing to a QB when he was a young guy in the AFC Championship. We saw him lose to Mahomes in 2020, and we saw him lose to Mahomes again in 2021. This time, I think that Herbert's going to get a taste of Allen's medicine, and Allen, who's a bit more mature, a bit better, a bit more experienced, is going to go down and do it to Herbert. And in 2024, February, we'll see Herbert win it himself. NFC, I like the Packers to beat the Lions. The Lions' little magical run is going to sadly end. The Niners and Buccaneers, it's a great matchup. I think it's going to ultimately come down to the DB crew of the Niners because in 2021, their issue was the defensive backs. So the Niners were not able to cover these elite receivers. We saw it showcased against the Titans on that Monday Night Football game. You know, like these receivers, cornerbacks, Emmanuel Mosley are not able to cover A.J. Brown, elite receivers. In this game, the Buccaneers, who have Mevins, Chris Godwin, are going to be able to take advantage of this Niners defensive core, who tends to not be able to stay very healthy in the season. And I like the Buccaneers to win this. And Tom Brady in the playoffs is the best player of all time. Last but not least, in the NFC Championship, I have a rematch of that 2020 matchup, and I have the Packers losing once again in the NFC Championship. I mean, if they had Dadams, if they had Dadams in this game, I think they would win it. But it just pains me, man. I have them winning. I had them making the Super Bowl last year. I'm not going to do it again. I'm not making that mistake. I like the Bills and Buccaneers to play in the Super Bowl, and the Buccaneers, who didn't win their division, are going to make the Super Bowl once again, just like 2020.
Picking the Packers to make the Super Bowl is just like picking Gonzaga to win the national championship. You always think it's going to happen. It just doesn't. Now, I got Bills beating the Chargers. Bills, 1 seed, keep cruising. Ravens upsetting the Chiefs. Yeah, I just like the Ravens here. No particular reason. I mean, you can't really predict it. It's like 5 months in the future. So, but then Bills beating Ravens to advance to the Super Bowl. Again, Bills, I think are the best team in the league. I don't like them that much, even though they're a Cinderella story because they're in my team's division, but I still think they're very good. Bucks and Brady, again, a rematch of last year, take on the Packers, or 2 years ago, was it? Yeah, 2 years ago. And they beat them. And then Eagles, I think, beat the Rams. And then Eagles I meant to say Eagles beat Bucks. Disregard that at the bottom. But Eagles beat Bucks to advance to the Super Bowl.
Gotcha.
All right. My AFC divisional round. I have the Ravens defeating the Chiefs, just like Oliver. I think Lamar ultimately goes on his revenge tour in the playoffs before losing in the next round. But the defense on the Ravens is just, I think, better than the Chiefs, and that's what it comes down to. And it's in Baltimore. I don't know if Mahomes can handle that without Tyreek. Then I got the Chargers beating the Bills. This is just, in my opinion, the two best teams in the league. Just comes down to who plays better that day. I'm just gonna guess it's the Chargers. I love Justin Herbert having winning MVP, so I got to trust them. And then I got as I said, Chargers and Bills are the two best teams, so I got the Chargers beating the Ravens easily, 20-point victory in the AFC Championship. Then the NFC, Bucks beating the Vikings. The Vikings had one lucky win. Brady beats them down by 24. Sends Kirk Cousins home crying. And then this is going to be the good game in the NFC. Eagles win by 4 over the Rams. Jalen Hurts starts his tour on becoming the greatest player of all time. As he beats the greatest player of all time in the NFC Championship, starts his reign. People start to see who he really is as a player. And I just think the Bucks got more talent than us, like star-studded players. But overall, I just think that the Eagles have more overall talent, and that's what it would come down to in a very close game.
I would just like to say that Oliver just said, I will give you $100 if the Lions make the playoffs, Casey. So we're going to remember this because Oliver already owes me $100 because the Orioles went above 500. So
Casey.
Not 100, it's 50. And I said if the Orioles don't finish the last in the division, which they're probably not going to. So, damn.
Casey.
You're going to match that?
No, I'll give you $100 if the Jaguars win the division.
I bet.
All right.
2 playoffs to make it even harder.
You got 2 bets for Casey right now. I mean,
Bills and their Super Bowl drought of forever, and they beat the Eagles in Atlanta. And so, yeah, Buffalo Bills, man, Josh Allen, Super Bowl MVP. Jim Kelly watches, and he's happy for him, but also kind of jealous. And, yeah.
no shot that happens, Oliver. Oh, I also have it.
Oh, no.
The Buffalo Bills defeat Tom Brady in a movie. I mean, let's just think about this, boys. It's a February evening, Sunday night, no homework the next day, and you're watching the Buffalo Bills play Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in Atlanta. What the color scheme would be beautiful. That red versus the blue, Tre'Davious White versus Mevins. I mean, this would simply be a movie. But I think it's the Bills' time, boys. It's Josh Allen's 4th year. The time is right. He finally has enough experience. He's lost to the Chiefs now twice in heartbreakers. I think the time's right. This Buffalo Bills team's legit. And I think Sean McDermott is a very underrated coach. People forget about that. He's a really solid coach. This Bills team is going to do it this year. Hopefully I'm not jinxing them. But either way, this would be a great Super Bowl. And let's see who my boy Justin has. Wow.
Yeah, you guys went with the chalk pick, Bills. I think overall the Chargers are the most talented team in the league, top to bottom.
I agree.
And like Casey, you brought up this scenario for people watching. Imagine seeing Justin Herbert, this 6'6" young kid out of Oregon, raising that Super Bowl MVP trophy, getting that trip to Disney. Austin Eckler crying with his wife. Keenan Allen, after 30 years in the league, finally gets a ring. I just think if this was the matchup, which I predict it will be, Justin Herbert's just so much better than Jalen Hurts. That's what it comes down to in this game. So I have the what's this, Oliver? Jay Herbert doesn't have the X factor. All right, we'll see when he throws 5,050 and wins the MVP.
He will win MVP. That's a fact, but it's going to be a regular season MVP.
I'll call it right now. Justin Herbert has a top 5 quarterback season of all time this year.
I like that.
Bold take, and I love it. All right.
But ladies and gentlemen, we just had the longest episode, I think, in CS Sports Talk history, and we enjoyed every second of it. Thank you to Justin Marks, Oliver Marburg, co-host of mine. Just a wonderful episode. You know, right now it's 3:20 a.m. for Justin. He's not even tired. I mean, we could run it back if we wanted.
Wow. Let's do another episode right now.
Yeah. But just to let you know, Zoom, we could record on Zoom, and they allow 40-minute meetings. I think we went through 3 of these. So, yeah, it just shows you. And it's about to end in 4 minutes. So that's almost third complete one.
The dedication of these 2 kids right here is unmatched. I just want to thank you guys for letting me on. It was a
Man,
pleasure.
our pleasure,
talking.
man. Hope we can do it again soon.
Oh yeah.
And we're proud to announce you're our Eagles insider for the 2022 season. So
You are.
you're forced to respond every single time we call you for Eagles news.
I'll be ready.
All right, bet. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you. And let's get hyped for this NFL season.
Yep.
Peace.
We will see you guys next week. Peace.